welcome in on this Monday, May the 15th. Hope you had a great weekend. It's the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football, where we're here talking about the latest in what's going on in Michigan sports. And it's always great to see everybody participating. We get the people involved on the feedback, whether they have an opinion, a question, they just want to follow along and say some things about the things we are talking about. It is all good. And we've got a few different things to talk about today coming out of the weekend. And basketball, there's a couple things that have to do with the Michigan basketball team. They have landed an in-state commit. We'll talk about that coming up. Also, some potential positive news for the Michigan basketball team in regards to a portal target. There was a development over the weekend that we'll let you know about. And also, we are going to get to straight ahead a quarterback competition that took place in the Peach State, where Jadyn Davis, the Michigan commit, got upstaged by an Ohio State commit. And is it a big deal or no big deal? I'll tell you what I think. We'll see where you are at when it comes down to it. But we are going to start out with some different news. And I just am going to start out with it because I see Vince is the first person to jump in today on this Monday. And Vince is indicating that there are 110 days to the season. Let's go. Thanks, Vince, for counting it down. I love that. And then Vince indicates that we are avoiding the night game at Happy Valley. What great news. The night game in Happy Valley, the whiteout atmosphere in State College, which is one of the great atmospheres in all of college football. And is Michigan avoiding it? You would say you would rather avoid it, even though Penn State's record in whiteout games, it's not like it's they've had 12 whiteout games and they're 11-1 or something. I don't have the exact number, but it's a great atmosphere. You'd rather play that game when it's light out instead of the full effects of Happy Valley in the whiteout situation. I think we could all agree on that. Trevor McHugh from the Maize and Blue Review just about an hour ago put a story up about the whiteout. There he is, McHugh, a little picture of him. And you're able to put two and two together, like Vince and like Trevor, smart guys. Michigan playing at Penn State on November 11th. It's a big day for the Big Ten East Division. Ohio State's going up and taking on Michigan State. And the Spartans come out and say that their game against the Buckeyes will be the night game of that week. And it's going to be a part of NBC's new Big Ten coverage. And then there's the tweet from Spartan football. Spartans in prime time. It says November 11th, 7:30. Now, if that's true, you wouldn't think, hashtag relentless. There you go, Michigan State. If it's true and OSU and MSU are playing at 7:30 on November 11th, and Michigan and Penn State are playing that same day, it's not going to be a night game in Happy Valley. So you can say, let's go. Like Vince is saying, that is some good news. And you want to look into the media rights and the windows and what's it mean, Fox getting the choice and all of that. You can go and, as I always suggest, and for good reason, you go check out the Maize and Blue Review and get some further details on that. But as Vince is indicating, it does appear to be some good news for Michigan about avoiding the night game in at Beaver Stadium. There's somebody else, the Beaver Stadium, State College, Happy Valley. I mean, you got a bunch of different things that you can call that when it comes down to Penn State. So I think that is good news. I'm going to agree with Vince and what he had to say. All right, let's get into it. I'm be interested to see where Michigan fans are with this story. Noland. He is a quarterback who committed to Ohio State, a four-star. Jadyn Davis, a five-star. And they were down in the Peach State at a regional competition, and they were competing in a lot of the drills back to back. And what came out of that competition is there was an automatic bid for the Elite Eight, the prestigious Elite Eight quarterback camp that you want to go to if you're one of the high school prospects. Of course, I mean we've all heard of the Elite 11, and the news that came out of that is that Noland was the one that got the automatic bid over Jadyn Davis. So if you go and you Google Air Noland, you see a lot of Ohio State sites saying round one goes to Air, over Jadyn, OSU over Michigan in a high school duel. And on the surface of things, it was a quarterback competition at a regional in Georgia. Noland did get the one automatic bid coming out of that competition, and Jadyn Davis was there. So that part is true. I mean, you could say, I don't think that's false, like saying that that Noland outdueled or was, he got the nod over Jadyn Davis. So does that mean immediately that, Jadyn Davis is overrated? Jadyn Davis should be a four-star. Noland should be a five-star. Is Michigan getting the better quarterback? Does Rivals know what they're doing with their ranking? Because there's some other sites and evaluators that aren't quite as high on Jadyn Davis. And so all of this, is going to get magnified and it's going to get played out. And is it a big deal or no deal? If you're saying no deal or big deal, I'll say it's a big deal because it was a competition and they both were there and Noland did get the nod. That was the first thing that I thought. But, look, it's would you would rather have had Davis, get the automatic bid? And if that was the case, you'd be saying, Jadyn Davis outdueled. That's one for Michigan. There's another one. It's three in a row, 21, 22, and now Davis, down at the regional in Georgia. But right before, and I was going to talk about this, and then right before 1:00, I said, where's Air Noland from? Air Noland is from Georgia. So he was on his home turf in this regional competition for the Elite 11, and he got picked. Now, without knowing the standard, I don't know if all of the Palmers, the people that are involved in the Elite 11, maybe they're all there. And however their scoring system is, their point system, what they're really doing, when are they trying to be completely objective and how they're giving their bids out to these QBs? Is there a way that they're with each throw, monitoring it and checking it off, or are these guys just sitting back and kind of taking it in and so just saying, okay, what do you think? Who's getting I don't know about that, but it makes me feel like, because it was in Georgia and that's where Noland is from. And it's not like this doesn't mean that Davis can't, there's still a possibility there's other competitions that he can go to and that he can still be one of the quarterbacks invited to the Elite 11. That it's not like the biggest, like if this was the one chance and that Davis was not going to be an Elite 11 invitee, it would be a bigger deal to me. Like, it's prestigious. It wouldn't mean everything. Of course, what means everything is, what you do when you get into college, what you do when you get on the field, obviously what it's going to mean if these two end up going to head. That's what it really means. But this is like the infancy of it. And so, we do talk about it a little bit, but I think that part, without knowing, if you're somebody that knows all the ins and outs of the Elite 11 and how things are picked and how everything goes through, and you say, oh my God, this is a huge deal, you're underselling it, I'll say, okay, I'll defer to you. But I think the part about it being in Georgia just makes me think like, it's you're going to get favored a little bit on your home turf, and there's other opportunities to get in. So if this was in Charlotte, North Carolina, where Jadyn Davis is from, if that's where if this regional and they were only taking one invitee and Noland came up from Georgia into Davis's own backyard and snagged the automatic invite over Davis at that point, I'd say, okay, that would mean a little bit more. But I'm not dismissing it. I mean, I can understand how Ohio State would feel good about that. I mean, it's just a quarterback competition, and Noland, did end up getting the invite. So that's how I see it. Now, there is a video, and I thought about, am I going to play? It's like, I don't know, I forget how long it went. I don't know why my screen just went blank. I make sure everything plugged in. I think I do. I hope I'm still there. If counter's going, I think I'm good. I think it was just for a second. What was I saying? If Davis didn't make the Elite 11, well, then it would be a bigger deal. Oh, I was talking about the video. So I watched the video, and if I saw everything, what I couldn't remember if it was 11 minutes long or 20 minutes long. That's the part that I forgot. I watched it. And so you see the southpaw, Aaron Noland, throwing the ball, and he throws these particular routes, these different things. And, so he throws, and then Davis throws right after him, and he's throwing the same routes, and he's throwing to the same spots. Now, as I watched it, I didn't detect Noland was more accurate, or Davis, threw one into the ground or overshot one of his guys. There was a post route that was thrown by both of them. And actually, both of them, when I saw Noland, I thought, that ball looked to be a little bit underthrown if I was grading it out myself. And I didn't grade it out. I just watched it. But I did take note when Noland threw this post route that the wide receiver basically stopped into the end zone and caught it like a center fielder. And I'm thinking, that's not the greatest throw. But then Davis threw that exact same one, and it was very similar. The wide receiver was already in the end zone, and then, he caught it like it was a pop fly too. So I was like, all right, so those two canceled out. I couldn't determine by watching it. And again, I don't know how much of all of those throws that I was seeing. Maybe it was just a snapshot. Maybe there was a session where these guys were throwing and Davis was a little high or a little left or a little low. And then Air was just peppering the guy, and hitting his target. And it would be very obvious to anybody that was there. If that was not shown on the video at all, how many ever throws, 20, 30 that I saw from both Noland and Davis, I couldn't determine. It'd be very difficult. I'd have to go back and watch it again and try to, I don't know, these guys are looking at their footwork or whatever else they're looking at, what was called. Again, the judging system, it would have been too close to call just on the video I watched. So let's see where the people are at. If anybody had any thoughts, big deal, no big deal, they are right there with me when it comes down to Davis v. Noland over the weekend. Always good to see Antoine getting in. He says, Michigan faithful agree with his assessment of Cole Sullivan. Cole Sullivan committed to Michigan on Friday, the linebacker out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That the Michigan faithful think that he is better than where he is ranked. And Antoine says that's why he was trying to get me to play his linebacker footage. Yeah, and we saw some of the linebacker footage, but it was also some of him. It was the latest film on his huddle where he was also playing running back as well. And then Antoine now going in, and he wants to see Robinson, who's out of Ohio. He wants Tatum, the running back out of Texas. Scott, the DB out of Ohio. And then Omarion, he is a wide receiver out of Illinois. And I think all of the, Scott's going to be a tough one. Robinson, it looked really good. Now it doesn't look as good. Tatum, I don't have a great read on him. He likes everyone. But I do think Marion Stewart, things do look good for him. But I agree, Poland, If Michigan could get 2 out of this group, feel good about Omarion. If they could get 2 out of that group, I would feel pretty good. Colin says, let's go. Longtime listener to the show. First time being able to watch it live. Hail to the victors. All right, Colin. It's great to have you in there and participating today. Some, like Richard, he'll participate once, twice a week, sometimes even more. We're already halfway through the month, Richard indicating through May. Wow, time's zipping by, isn't it, Richard? Are you kidding me? Indicating that maybe AJ's getting a little greedy when it's coming down to recruiting. And Antoine answering back. It's not greedy when they all love you. Yeah, I don't think it's greedy either, Antoine. It's not greedy wanting to get all those times, wanting to get all those players. I'll be doing the gritty. How come I can't say that? They have Coke as a 4-star now. I think he missed what he's talking about. Cole. Okay. Cole Sullivan, you're saying, has been bumped up. We got some inside jokes going out. If Dennis would like to go visit it. Visit what? What am I talking about? Trevor McHugh, the great Trevor McHugh, indicating, and we showed his story or a little bit earlier about the whiteout games, that Jim Harbaugh is 2-0 at Penn State in non-night games. That's a nice little factoid, Trevor, that you have there. I like it. Of course, the last time was when Penn State was sitting there and Michigan went in and they beat the Nittany Lions 21-17. You had Eric All with that 47-yard touchdown, and I remember the last 6 minutes of that game. You had to set up All. You had Haskins, I think, run the ball 5-6 times right in a row. Or I was even thinking to myself, are they going to just run it right down the field? Yes, that's what Harbaugh appeared that he was going to do. He was just going to keep handing it off. And then the lightning strike, the little crossing route to All, one of the great plays in let's say it, Michigan football history. But they also needed to get that 4 and out. And Jahan Dotson on the 3rd and 4th down, was it the great Rod Moore, who I think was sticky to Dotson on that 4th down play. Of course, Michigan needed that one. They were able to win it, prevail. The rest now is history of them beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten, and going to the college football playoff. So, yeah, and that game against Penn State is going to be a doozy this year for sure. Wonder why they wouldn't take advantage of the whiteout. Well, there's a lot of different factors that go into it. I'm sure they'd like to, play. I say this. They'd like to play all their big games at night and have a whiteout. So, Andre's, saying what we're all thinking, that Sparty's going to get beat down relentlessly. Yeah. I think we all know that. Good to see JP. Colin, Tuck's coming for the Buckeyes, little smiley face. Yeah, I think taking shots at Ohio State Ohio State too, but Michigan State even more. Taking shots at Michigan State football. I mean, they are down. They are down bad. And so, yeah, piling on Michigan State is going to be a real fun thing to do if you're a Michigan fan. It's like, it's there. It's easy. And guess what? It's fun. It is, you try it. You think, oh, why are we, they're down so bad. Just let them be. And I can understand that. But then just try it. Just say it. Tuck's coming. It makes you laugh. Hey, Spartans lost another one. It does make you feel good. I admit it, so they are down bad. AJ says, I don't think it was up to Penn State. Michigan walks around with a big stick. Jadyn looked good. talking about the quarterback competition. All right, so we've got some thoughts on the quarterback competition. Andre said that Jadyn looked good. I thought he looked good too. I was kidding because there's different. There's the Rivals has their projected where he's a top 10 player overall. Some of the other sites, it's not so flattering. Like they don't have him, as the top 10 player. ESPN has him as a 4-star. I'm not exactly sure, but he's not ranked as high as some of our competition would have him. And I think without knowing the people that are evaluating from other sites or anything else, this can happen when you have I'm going to call him a diminutive quarterback, but 6 feet and under will freak some people out. It will mess with an evaluation. It does happen. I think it's a little bit understandable. If we all just go out and it was Andres and Jason and Colin and Antoine, and we were all just standing on a fence watching a high school football game, and they brought some quarterbacks out, and they had a 6'3" dude that went out there and started throwing the ball all over the place, and then had a 6'5" dude who was throwing rockets, and then they brought some dude that was 5'11" out there, and he was throwing them. And they said, "What did you guys think? Evaluate the quarterbacks." There might be some of us that look and say, the guys under 6 feet, I'd rather go with the prototypical quarterback. I mean, it's hell, until Russell Wilson was drafted. Where was he drafted? In the 3rd round by the Seahawks? After they gave, I think it was Matt Ryan, this gigantic contract. The NFL looked at quarterbacks that were under 6'1" and gave him a long look. Drew Brees was looked as a total outlier, and he didn't get taken in the 1st round. He was looked as a total outlier. But since Wilson, there have been plenty of quarterbacks. Of course, the number 1 pick this year was just 5'10.5". So it can. And the game has changed a little bit. You're not just sitting there in the pocket where you have to look over, the offensive line. You'll be on the move a little bit. But so there's our other factors. But the factor of just you're not discounted automatically if you're under 6 feet. I think that has a little bit something to do with evaluators. That's my guess, without knowing the people specifically and what they're looking at. Antoine watched the video like I did, and he saw the workout, and they both did pretty good. Yeah, I think so too. Let's see, AJ, if he says a little bit more when he was watching the video. He says it's a bit more than throwing the ball and playing catch when it comes to a real game. No doubt. I mean, no doubt. When you're in a real game, and you got some guy that's 6'7" coming off the edge that wants to tear your head off, it's a little bit different when you're standing in there throwing the ball than when, you're out there in your, shorts and taking the hike off of, pylon. Yeah, no doubt, Antoine, but it's a point to remember, a point to emphasize. Richard saying maybe there was a little, bias towards the lefty. And, lefties, I don't know about quarterbacks, but in baseball, you always hear about it. You see the sweet swinging left, Ken Griffey Jr. Oh, it's just a picture perfect, because all of us righties look at it, and you're looking at the mirror and you say, just the lefty in baseball. Of course, the lefty pitcher, it's because of how everything works in baseball, pretty valuable to be actually it's valuable to be a left-handed hitter and be able to be a left-handed pitcher in baseball. Basketball doesn't necessarily look like you get a sweet shooting lefty, but how many lefty quarterbacks really are there? Tua is a lefty. Are there any other lefties that are starting in the NFL? Tua is the one that comes to mind. There's not an incredible amount right now of southpaws. And you talk to some of the wide receivers, and You wouldn't think. I don't know. Maybe you would think. Maybe you wouldn't think. But so the lefty comes in and throws the ball. The rotation of the ball is different than how a righty throws it, and that can cause some issues with receivers. Receivers got to be able to, catch anything, but there is a little bit different. If you're always catching them from a righty, and then you go to a lefty, Antoine indicating he says the left-handed looks nasty. There's so much growth that can happen in a year. Congrats to both. Just don't count all your eggs before they hatch. JP saying, hey, watch out, Ohio State fans. Doesn't mean everything. As a Elite 11 competition, you get the nod. Doesn't mean that Noland is going to be better than Jadyn Davis. They both look good throwing in gym clothes. It's different with pads on. OT indicating that Jadyn is from Atlanta. So we have two hometowns. It's good information. But OT, he's playing his high school ball in North Carolina. I'm saying he's from Atlanta, so maybe the home cooking isn't as much as I thought. Maybe he just outright beat him that way. Antoine now speculating. He thinks he was from Atlanta, but then moved to South Carolina. I said I would have to look to see exactly the life and times of Jadyn Davis to see how much time he spent in Atlanta. Well, maybe he was just there for a minute and then moved. Is Davis going to be an early enrollment student athlete? Richard, I can answer that question, and I know the answer because Josh Henschke, about a month or two ago, revealed that Jadyn Davis was going to be an early enrollee on the Maize and Blue review. He indicated that. So I think in the affirmative, yes, he is coming in. OT saying Jadyn isn't from Charlotte. He just moved there recently. He grew up in Atlanta. Okay. That's all. There we are. Here's Jason. But while we're throwing some numbers out there, McHugh put the 2-0 and non-night games for Harbaugh. JP says it's a fun fact that Harbaugh is 2-0 versus Ohio State the last 2 years as well. Let Noland get cocky and let Davis gain motivation to work harder. I love it. We're always the underdog. That works in our favor. I don't mind that angle. I think that's a good angle to have. Richard's hoping Orgy sticks around for a couple years. Here's Doug. Let's see what Doug K has to say. Let's see where the quarterback coaching goes with Davis. With a great O-line, the height might not matter so much. Davis does throw well on the run. The offense can also be tweaked. Yeah, I don't worry. Say I don't worry. I don't worry as much about a quarterback's height anymore. There have been enough that have had success, and it is. I think you're right. Doug, what you're saying about the coaching. The coaches know how to, move the pocket, and like you're saying, Davis on the run. We have seen him throw there, but I mean, if we were sitting here, if this was 19, I don't know, maybe even 2000, I was going to say 93, but if we were sitting here in 2003, if we were sitting here in 2013, what are we talking about? Yeah, I think right around the time, probably, Russell Wilson, 2003, we'd be sitting around saying, I don't know, the guy's barely 6 feet tall. Uh-oh. Maybe we can put him at corner, something like that. But no, not now. Not now. That's not what we're doing. And the coach indicating that height doesn't matter as much in today's football. He says because quarterbacks used to go under center and they had trouble looking over the O-line. In today's game, they primarily play in the gun. Good point, coach. That's why you're a coach. Here's another coach. If we find out, Jason says, give Noland the Elite 11 MVP right now. Do it. He'd rather have Davis work with our staff, not having an inflated ego, and be grounded like JJ. We've got OSU's number when it counts in college football. Andre says, in golf, we say you're on the wrong side of the ball. You're talking about a lefty. Doug indicating the snake. Kenny Stabler did very good a while ago. Yeah, we're talking about great. Steve Young wasn't half bad as a southpaw QB. Brandon with a little Tua factoid. Tua was born right hand dominant. Brandon, I believe, was it the SI story that I read where he was growing up? Did his dad tie his right hand behind his back and make him throw left? I know it was Todd Marinovich. For those that are old enough, way back in the day, his daddy, who I think was a football coach, he didn't let, and now, you'll hear this and you say, wait, that's what coaches do now. He didn't let his kid go to McDonald's. He was on this is back in, I don't know, what was Marinovich, in the 90s, maybe even the 80s. But he couldn't do anything, couldn't go out. It was nothing but football, football, football. And he did tie his hand behind his back and things like that. Then he got to college and he had a little free time and he was like, let's party. And, he enjoyed the social, and it hurt his, and he was a bust. His dad taught him to throw left-handed because left-handed pitchers make more money. There you go, Brandon. The mirror image thing. We probably have some lefties on the board. Phil Mickelson. Or one of my favorites in music. Who was it? His name? Lefty. It ain't right, but Lefty's gone. There was an old country singer named Lefty. He sang the song Saginaw, Michigan. And George Strait sang a song that was very sad called It Ain't Right, but Lefty's Gone. It's a good one. Let's see. Davis is bigger than Bryce Young. That's right. All this stuff. Let's take another one before we get to the basketball. Roderick, all this stuff is fun, but it matters more when the pads are on and driving down the field in the game. There you go, Roderick. And that's a great way to say it. Let's go. I think you're right. Frizzell, Lefty Frizzell. Who was the Maryland coach? Was his name Lefty Drizel? And then there's a Lefty Frizzell and a Lefty Drizel who coached Len Bias when he was at Maryland. I don't know. One more from JP. He married a short woman. I don't worry about height at all. I programmed the number one button for her seat and mirrors for her to operate at full potential. It's all about adjustment, folks. Well said. Well put. Okay, so that's what we are thinking about the Davis v. Noland competition. You want to know about competition for recruits? You want to know what the latest is for all those guys that Antoine was talking about? Like Taylor Tatum, for one, Robinson from Ohio, Scott from Ohio. Well, folks, what to do. Join the Maize and Blue Review today. Go to michigan.rivals.com. You might think, approaching the summer and here in May, you'd say, do I really want to join up in May when the football season is 110 days away? And the answer to that is, if you're a Michigan fan, absolutely. Because you are with hundreds of other like fans, Michigan fans, who are thinking about Michigan football right now. They are thinking about Michigan basketball. They want to know about recruiting. Trevor McHugh looking for his latest story and feature and what the latest is on recruiting and on the portal. You do all that by going to the Maize and Blue Review. And a little tease for something that's coming up later, maybe a little bit more writing from yours truly. It could be on there, only on the Maize and Blue, by going to michigan.rivals.com. Basketball, couple notes for you to get up to speed on. Michigan over the weekend did get a commitment from a 4-star point guard for 24, Durral Brooks, 6'1", 180. And you say, great. And you say, oh, wait, didn't Michigan also have another point guard that committed a while back? Christian Anderson out of Georgia, I think Atlanta. And you would be correct. And then you would say, wait, he's from the 24 class as well, Christian Anderson. He was 5'8" a couple years ago when he committed. I think he's up, everybody says, his dad's 6'5" or whatever. So he was always going to grow. And Anderson, I think, has grown. And yet you got Anderson, a 24 point guard, around 6 feet tall, I would think by now. And now you get Brooks from Grand Rapids committing. Can you have 2 point guards in the same class? What's up? Well, it's a good point to ponder, to wonder about. I don't think that Michigan wants 2 point guards under the same class. Maybe you can make a case that Anderson is expected to grow 2 inches, and then so he could be a combo guard, or maybe the same thing from Brooks. Maybe his dad's 6'8", something like that. And these guys are expected to grow a little bit, but just on the surface of things, when you have 2 point guards that are around 6 feet tall, you think maybe one of these guys is not going to be there when it's all said and done. Anderson already has said that he's still firm with his commitment. So who knows? I think that, it could have, there's a number of things that, you could be thinking about. Michigan may have cooled on Anderson. Anderson, even though he said he hasn't, could have cooled on Michigan. He may have said he's looking elsewhere. All kinds of different things, when it comes down to that. But also the possibility that Michigan looks at one of these guys as being somebody who could be a combo guard, and this is just the backcourt of the future. I don't dismiss that when you're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-olds. Hey, they can grow an inch or 2. And if Brooks grew 2 inches and you said he was coming in and then or Anderson, came in at 6'2", 6'3", that's fine for a shooting guard. So just something to think about and look to see what's going on. That's what's up. All right. Let's see if there's any feedback on hoops. Richard's going to be in Ann Arbor in July. He's looking forward to it. Well, we're going to have a big Maize and Blue review get together, Richard, if that's going to be the case. If you're close to Southeast Michigan, if you're close to Ann Arbor, let's do it. Look at this. Gary signed up for the Maize and Blue review. Good stuff. Gary, that is awesome. That's what I've been waiting to see. All the Coach Howard haters, speak up now. That's from Roderick. No, don't worry. You asked for it. He's one of them, says Antoine. How he hasn't been doing a great job at all. Let's see. Georgia got Raiola, the quarterback. The rich get richer. Yep. What's up, Moose? Oh, that's Jason. Let's see. Roderick saying it's unfortunate because when we bounce back, there won't be any room there. Doug saying that they might be planning on bringing in 5 and 4 for 24. We went without 2 good point guards last year. I don't want to go through it again. Yeah, look, like I said, there's a lot of different scenarios when it comes down when you got 2 guys at the same position where there's room to grow. You might have the possibility of, one of them looking like a combo guard anyways, despite how tall they are, even if you don't like it about how tall they are. And that's not how you would do it if you were Juwan Howard. Juwan Howard's at the point now. I think, you get some saying, the bandwagon's full, and others are saying, he's on the Juwan Howard, we all know that the story is coming because the story could be true. If somebody came to me and said, "Hey, do you think Juwan Howard is on the hot seat?" I would say probably. Uh, do I think Juwan Howard can have another year this upcoming year like he did last year? Like if Michigan didn't make the tournament, do I think, oh hey, let's just be super patient, everything's good? No, I don't think that. I think Michigan could move on. I think there's I don't know that for sure, but and there would be a ton of people if next year went like this last year that would be like, bye. It happens. This is what happens in sports, whether you love Michigan or not. Just look at what's going on in the pros. The guys that are getting canned, the dude at Milwaukee, the dude at Phoenix. I mean, these guys are good coaches. One of them won a championship. Bye. You think Doc Rivers is going to be a coach of the Sixers? Doc Rivers is one of my favorites too, but no, I don't think so. I think Monty Williams, I mean, those guys are going to find Budenholzer. These guys will find jobs, but you don't get it done for a little while. You say, that's the pros. Not a big separation between the pros and college when it's coming down to it, folks. So it's not what I want. It is it's getting ahead of ourselves and everything, but I understand a little bit of what's up when it comes down to Juwan Howard. Jason says Howard isn't a good coach. I appreciate what he did with the Fab Five. Juwan didn't have a good year last year, but Juwan has had some good years. The 1920 year, in which they made the Elite Eight and were a shot away from getting to the Final Four and won the Big Ten, was one of my favorite years ever for Michigan basketball. I give him all the credit for having all the players and the spots and everything else. I don't buy. I know a lot of people love to say it. That was John Beeline's DNA on that team. Get out of here with that. But like I said, he's got to have a good year this year. Antoine coming back in, giving me, and I told you so. Somebody said that Cole Sullivan's moved up. That dude is definitely not a 3-star. I tried to tell Dennis. Jason agrees. Richard says Juwan isn't a very good role model. Isn't a good role model. I don't know. He seems like if we're talking about role models, let's talk about role models. I think Juwan Howard's a good role model. Well, because he had the swing slap against Whiskey and chased that dude against Turgeon in Maryland a couple of years ago. So that's why he isn't a good role model. Yeah, okay. I was thinking, no, Juwan Howard is a good role model, but then he does have those two things on his. Those are two strikes. I think that's right. He will be a fine role model. Just let him win. Antoine hates texting. Yeah, Richard's saying. Gary thinks that with Jet gone, that'll help Juwan. Maybe. You don't have to worry about. Well, I was going to say he doesn't have to worry about the nepotism charge, but the captain Jace is still on the team, which you can use that exact thing. So that's still happening. Jason says Georgia's probably going to be passing Michigan for number one in team rankings with Raiola. You mean getting the number one player overall will probably push Georgia above and take over the top seat? Yeah, I think you're right, Jason. It was fun while it lasted. I didn't think myself that Michigan was going to be able to stay at number one in the 24 rankings, without snagging a couple more 5 stars, and I didn't really see any out there that looked like they were even in on. So yeah, and the way Georgia operates and everything. So I was hoping, and I didn't think it was like that crazy of an approach or anything, but I was thinking that finishing in the top 5 for 24 would be solid. I like how I'm not settling. I like how the last 2 years Michigan was top 4, making the college football playoff, and a lot of things they've been in the top 5. And so, staying in the top 4 or 5 and recruiting for 25, that would be good. Doug making a prediction. U of M will, or a question, will U of M reach close to 30 recruits this year? Yeah, look, between 25 and 30, I would say that I think that that's very possible. Number one is cool, but as long as we get our kind of players, it's better. There you go. It's a good way to look at it. Top 5. If I could secure a number 5 recruiting class for 24, would I take it, buy or sell? That question coming out later this week, right here on the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. All right, let's get to some more basketball notes for you to know about. Here's the commitment that Michigan got from Durral Brooks. They do already have Christian Anderson for 24. And if you follow recruiting, you could say, well, what about this guy, Travis Perry, that Michigan is in on? He's a 24 recruit. He's a point guard, the 4-star from Kentucky. I read a story today on the Maize and Blue Review. Josh Henschke indicating that Michigan is still interested in Travis Perry, and the commitment from Brooks is not going to affect how Michigan is looking at Perry's recruitment. So could they have Perry, Anderson, and Brooks? Now you're taking things a little bit too far. When I was talking about, hey, maybe one of them's a combo, maybe the other guy grows a little bit, and he's a 2 guard. 3-point guards, all 6'1" and short. That's somebody's. Now they don't have a commitment from Perry, but they're still recruiting him. But they want him. Recruiting now, like the way guys, they're there, but if they get a better offer, they're out. So how Juwan's doing things, be like, yeah, we want you, but let's take this all the way up to signing day. I don't know how the game might be, how it could be going. So Jason saying Michigan's already got 17. That's right. Sullivan was 17. You are correct with that. One more item for you all here, and it comes from Transfer Portal News. This is a player that you probably have heard of who was at Tennessee last year, Olivier Nkamhoua. Nkamhoua was the word is that he wanted to go pro or go to Michigan. Nkamhoua did not get an invite to the NBA Combine. That's not usually very good news for your draft prospects. So wherever it was with Michigan and Olivier Nkamhoua, the possibility of the Wolverines landing him, I think it's better now. Not a slam dunk, but you can feel pretty good about it. This particular game, I've got a picture of. I don't know how many people do this. I do it sometimes. I think a lot of people have Michigan games DVR'd, and they'll go over the next 111. They'll watch the Michigan Ohio State game or Penn State game. They'll do that in the summer. It's fun. I like doing that myself, no doubt. You want to watch a good game. You want to watch Olivier Nkamhoua's best game. Watch the Tennessee Duke tournament game. Maybe you remember watching it in its entirety when they actually played. But look at how Nkamhoua plays against the Blue Devils. He looks great. I mean, you watch that. If you were like, I'm not sure I want Olivier Nkamhoua, watch that tape. Watch that film. He's good. It's fun. That's what's going on here. All right. Jason wanted to throw something in about Hunter Dickinson. Hunter Dickinson did get some money to go to Kansas. That is true. He is also going to Kansas. It's a much better basketball situation. It's a much better situation financially. So it's hard to criticize him unless you're a Michigan fan and you say to hell with him. No, so that's how you do things. It sucks for Michigan basketball. That's true. Good luck, Hunter. It's great for you. Not so good for Michigan basketball. So if you're just a Michigan basketball guy, you understand. But you can also understand why you're not jumping around and sending him a gift basket saying good luck with the Jayhawks. Because it hurts on the floor and it hurts off the floor. It hurts on the floor for the obvious reasons. It hurts off the floor from a player like, they see Dickinson, like, Dickinson didn't make six figures after 3 years at Michigan. Guys are offering me seven figures before I even step foot on campus. How are you guys? Really? What's that number? I mean, going to be tough. Makes it tough to recruit when you got dudes and that kind of information, you know? Yeah, not mad. I'd say a little bit more sad than mad, just about what it means. No, that's it. That's it, Jason. That's it. All right. I was going to say that's it, but then Richards comes in at the last moment about Hunter Dickinson. He didn't have a very good feeling. Mental acuity is lacking. Yeah, I don't. I thought he would have been fine, especially if he'd had some better players around him. He gone. I want to give you a program note. The VCast and pod you're watching right now, we are going to 3 days a week. 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday will be here for you at 1 o'clock. The Tuesdays and Thursdays, we were on 5 days a week. I'm going to go on the Den, on the Maize and Blue Review, and focus on writing and posting on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that's where I'd love to see you on the Maize and Blue Review by going to michigan.rivals.com. And then at 1 o'clock, it's going to be like around the chat here. I'll post a story and you'll say something, and then we'll sit there and then we can go on and on about Michigan all day, all night. We'll do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we'll be here Monday and Wednesdays and Fridays for you. So next time we'll see you, we'll talk to you on Wednesday here on the Maize and Blue Review. Until then, have yourself a great month.